Hi guys, and welcome back to CoZ NoAH. So, last time things got pretty anime pretty quickly. It seems that, yeah, we have at least three people walking around with weird magical weapons, possibly? I don't know what the deal with, Ayase is her name. Ayase. Her mic stand. I don't exactly recall what it looked like, but I'm guessing it's probably a weapon and not just a mic stand. But, yeah. Seems like Takumi may get one of these weapons for himself, so to see that happen, I'll go ahead and get us started. Today, I headed straight for Animate without stopping by at Cafe. The reason, of course, was to finally pick up my long-awaited Bloodtoon figure, Seraton, post-awakening version. While I was in checkout, Yua's face crossed my mind for a second, but I cut off those thoughts immediately. I glanced at the Ceratons that were set on display in order to attract customers, but since the sculptor was Kijima Yoshio, not a single word needed to be said about their quality. I had to get home fast so I could enjoy her every nook and cranny as soon as possible. As long as I could admire Seraton's face every now and then while I played ESO, I was content. So why did the entire third dimension do nothing but bring me trouble? It plagued me even now. I headed straight for my base in high spirits, forgetting all about Fess and swords and whatever else, and practically skipping the entire way home. Hello there. When I was about 50 meters away, I encountered two men who carried an unmistakably abnormal air about them. Oh no, guy on the right looks pretty normal. I attempted to pass by them without making eye contact, but they were very clearly watching me.
そこの君、ちょっといいかい？
Oop. The first of the two to call out to me was a dull older man, one that looked like he belonged at a cycling racetrack gambling his life away. His hair was a mess, and his unshaved beard was somehow worse. He wore a worn-out old suit, a sloppily tied necktie, and dress shoes that didn't show a trace of being cared for. All of it came together to form an unparalleled example of a man who'd failed to get ahead in life. Hey man, don't underestimate a Columbo type, you hear? For some reason, the fact that he was flapping a fan at himself only served to further emphasize how pathetic he looked. His expression was similarly languid, his mouth curled into a flippant smile. And yet, when our eyes met for a split second, I knew then that he wasn't really smiling. There was nowhere to run. As I searched for something to reply to them with, the two men made their way up to me.
おじさん、こういうものなんだけどさ。
The older man took out a black badge from his suit and held it out toward me. It was the same kind of police badge you'd see in various TV shows, but it was obviously the first time I'd ever seen a real one. They finally come for me. They could only be here for one thing, the crucifixion case.
ちょっと話を聞かせてもらっていいかい？もちろん強制じゃないんだけどね。あ、そんな身構えなくていいよ。本当話聞くだけだから。
The way he spoke didn't show a trace of trying to intimidate me. The other, younger detective, however, wore a strict expression as he nonchalantly moved to block my path. Sweat started running down my neck. If I made any wrong moves, they'd likely suspect me of being the culprit and haul me down to the station right then and there. I didn't want that to happen. I resigned myself, then gave a small nod.
君さ、俗に言うニュージェネレーションの狂気って知ってるかな？
I knew it. I wiped the beads of sweat off my forehead, then gave him a nod in reply.
じゃあ3番目に起きた通称貼り付け殺人事件も当然知ってるよね。この近所で起きたわけなんだけども、その目撃者を探してるわけよ。あ、ちなみに君、名前聞かせてくれる？
A gulp forced itself down my throat. This wasn't some bait and switch shit, was it? Or maybe they were a bunch of con men who were only acting like policemen, while in reality they were just mining at my personal information so they could put it to ill use. They could even be the demon girl's underlings.
あれ、答えてくんないのかな？
If they started to suspect me, there'd be no end to it. What should I do? If I gave them a fake name, they might arrest me immediately.
ああ、個人情報保護法とか気にしてる？おじさんそんなに信用なさそうに見えるかな？
I'll say. Either way, his friendly way of speaking had to be just an act.
西条匠
In the end, I figured there was no way around it. That it was in my best interest to answer honestly.
西条匠くんでいいかい？
I shook my head.
本当に？
Huh? What was that supposed to mean? I'd purposefully given him my real name, so what the hell was that reaction?
いや、これは失礼。今のは気にしないでくれ。
The detective's unnatural laughter rang throughout the quiet residential area. Just hurry up and let me go already.
その制服、水明だよね。何年生？
Did I have to answer stuff like that?
に
悪いね。聞き取れなかった。おじさんもう年だから耳遠くてさ。もう一度言ってくれる？
2年生
ああ、2年生ね。どうも。で、西条さん。聞きたいことってのは、先月の29日の午後6時から10時頃にかけて、どこで何してたかなんだわ。
Were they asking me for my alibi? Did that mean they suspected me? That's ridiculous!
いや、別に君を疑ってるわけじゃなくてさ、その時間にこの近くにいたなら怪しい人物を見かけたとか、何か音を聞いたとかないかと思ってね。
For some reason, the way the guy talked was really starting to get to me. Maybe talking in a way that deliberately agitated the subject was some kind of interrogation technique. Of course, I had seen someone suspicious. I'd seen someone very clearly, with my own 2 eyes. But I wasn't sure if it would be a good idea to tell it to this shady old guy. What would I do if I told him and then that demon girl came back for revenge? It seemed like the demon girl was letting me run free for now. But she still had Shogun on her side, and he was equipped with precognitive powers. So, by that logic, that must have meant that the demon girl had some sort of insane power as well. If that was true, and I told the police about it, she might find out about it immediately because of her clairvoyance or whatever, and then she'd come to kill me right after.
なあ、西条くん。今日はそんなに暑いか？
My heart rate skyrocketed. If I stayed silent like this, they would absolutely suspect me of being the criminal. But at the same time, I was scared that if I lied and said I didn't see anything, they'd see right through me. The older man fanned me a couple of times with his fan. A cool breeze rustled my hair.
もうすっかり秋だ。汗かくほど暑いとは思えんけどな。まあ体質ってのは人それぞれだしな。
Ironic, considering he was the one walking around with a fan. But he was right. It wasn't all that hot out today. It was perfect, actually. The kind of temperature you'd actually enjoy spending time in. I'd wiped the sweat off my forehead with my sleeve countless times now.
僕はやってない。
おお。
The look in his eyes shifted. I realized that I'd slipped up, but I had no idea what had exactly tipped him off.
何をやっていないんだ
They definitely suspected me. I had to answer honestly. Staring at the manhole cover right beneath my feet, I began to blurt out everything.
見たんです。貼り付けの現場、そこに女がいたんです。で、血まみれにして死体の前に杭がたくさん死体に突き刺さってて、あれ500本は絶対超えてた。異常だ。死体がハリネズミみたいになってて、女は僕を見てよかったって笑ってた。あの女は悪魔だ。人間じゃない。ニュージェネの母には人を超えた存在なんだ。ヨシとかすごい超能力とか使う。
Upon saying that much, I realized the two detectives were staring at me with their eyes wide. Maybe they didn't believe me. Thinking that, I clamped my mouth shut.
悪魔か。なるほどね。そいつは参考になったよ。
本当です。
ああ、分かってる分かってる。貴重な情報だよ。
僕を警察で、守ってください。
その前にその女の年は分かる。服装とか顔の特徴とか。
水明。
水明って水明学園？
その制服着てた。
つまり西条君と同じ学校の生徒か。
After simmering on that for a moment, the old man grinned. He then muttered something that could either be an actual question or him just mumbling to himself.
何年生だろうな、その女子高生は。何年生だと思う？西条君。
わからない。
じゃあなんて名前だと思う？
わからないよ。僕はあの悪魔の名前なんて知らない。
その女の身長、体重、あとついでに3サイズについて。
What was up with this old man? Was he screwing with me? How was I supposed to know even a single one of those? Did he think I could instantly get all those measurements from a single glance? Oh yeah, sure, I absolutely had such a stupid power. Oh, wait, no I didn't, because this wasn't a goddamn rom-com anime.
なるほど。黙ってるってことはわからないってことだね。結構。参考になったよ。これは本部に戻って検討しないといかんな。
先輩、マジっすか？
Waving his hand to silence the dumbfounded younger detective, the older man signaled something to him with his eyes.
あ、西条君、ちなみに連絡先とか教えてもらえる？
なんで？
I knew they wouldn't believe me. They wanted to label me as some nut job and falsely accuse me of everything.
ああ、だって悪魔だっけ？そいつから君を守らなくちゃならないだろ？
You know, instead of asking for measurements, you could have asked how long is her hair, what color is it, etc. Oh, so that was why he'd asked. Oh, thank God they actually believed me. If I could get the police to protect me, it would be incredibly reassuring. Yes, the enemy was a demon, so the police would only get one shot if they went up against her, but it was better than being unarmed. Feeling slightly relieved, I took out the phone I had bought a few days prior and showed him my phone number. The younger detective scribbled it down in his notebook.
いや、忙しいところありがとうさ。君の身の安全は警察が保証するから、何の心配もしなさんな。じゃあ、また何か聞きたいことができたら電話するかもしんないんで、その時はよろしくな。イルスとか使わないでくれよ。今のところ警察にとっては君は重要な人物だからな。
え？
君の目撃証言は事件解決の重要な手がかりになりそうだ。じゃあな。
The two detectives bowed their heads and promptly took off. After taking a glance at me over his shoulder, the younger detective whispered something to the older one. The older man paid him no mind and simply continued to walk. I let out a long, long sigh. That was intense. It was the first time I'd ever been questioned by actual detectives. I'd acted pretty suspicious without meaning to, but they'd believed me anyway, somehow. God, I'd give anything for the police to arrest the demon girl. Then again, the police didn't have any special powers, so maybe I should keep my expectations low. I then noticed that my mouth had gone incredibly dry without me realizing, so I redirected myself to the nearest vending machine and got myself a cola. Making me thirsty again, boy.
What? 覚醒バージョン残すエロすぎパンモノじゃんかだがそれがいい顔かわいいよ顔原作再現度はいまいちだけどプンプンと漂うエロスが木島よしおらしさだよなこれはこれでグッジョブ
GJ, short for good job, used on the internet as an expression of admiration for a job well done.
上着キャストオフとかこの角度からじゃほとんど全裸にしか見えんひょー髪の動きがいいよな覚醒バージョンは髪が命って持論があるわけだが間違ってなかったな、さてそれではお待ちかねパンツいってみようかどれどれV ゾーンの作り込みいいよシワのつき方リアルだしってこれスージーさんすげえマジですげえクオリティ高すぎ
Oh my gosh, you're such a dweeb. Awesome sauce. A word used to express excitement or appreciation on the internet. A very high compliment.
これセーラタン5作目にして早くも最高傑作爆誕じゃねえこれ以上すごいのなんて出せないってマジでやっぱ木島は神
There it is. I carefully stood my new Seraton next to my monitor. Sarah, you're so sexy, Sarah. Simply looking over at her made me grin uncontrollably. Life was good. I logged on and immediately started posting my impressions of my new Seraton figure on that channel. When I finished doing that, I went to check my email, then check to see if any of my friends on Free Para had posted any updates.
おっと前触れ申請来てるじゃん誰これセーラコミの人かはいはい K ですよ
Now then, time for ESO. But the very second I thought that, I felt chills on the nape of my neck. It was the gaze, complete with its usual intense presence. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oop. Okay, so for this, negative. Yeah, negative. Damn it, this was not the time. When had I first started feeling the gaze? I'd long since forgotten. It slithered its way into each and every part of my life, bothering the shit out of me all the way. There were a lot of things that disturbed my peace, but the gaze was right up there with Nanami as the most irritating thing I had to deal with. Fine then, let's do it. The "it'll take more than that to make me turn around" game. Still fixated on my monitor, I tried to think of some cool lines you'd hear in a manga.
貴様出てこい。僕の目をごまかせるとでも思ったか。甘いな。
バレちゃった。
当たり前だ。僕の後ろに立つなと何度言えば。
Huh? Was that a woman's voice just now? Goosebumps stood up all over my body. Had the reclusive owner of the gaze finally decided to show themselves? Was that even possible? Should I turn around and see who it was? What if she attacked me the moment I did? It was a fairly cute-sounding voice, but what if, in reality, a monster far removed from anything human was standing there? No. If that were the case, wouldn't that mean they were getting ready to attack me right now? If I didn't turn around now, I wouldn't even notice that they killed me. Maybe I should say something else to see if they'd respond. It was possible that the voice I had heard was just a hallucination or a delusion or something, so that helped confirm it. And I mean, I talked to my Seraton figure all the time in my head. It had to be the same thing. I tried to be bold and say, "Who are you?" but I hesitated. If I was to provoke the attacker, it could have very easily spelled the end for me. It could have caused her to finally stop waiting and attack me. So many delusions ran through my head that I found myself completely paralyzed. What should I do? Maybe the whole thing was a product of my own design, and I was just being the world's biggest dumbass. I swear, if the owner of the gaze wasn't here, and I'd just been sitting here trembling in fear over nothing, I was gonna kill myself.
あれタク固まってる
It wasn't a hallucination or a delusion after all. There was someone right behind me. Startled, I reflexively turned around. Oh! Hello there.
どうもどうも
Not who I expected. The demon girl! The girl sitting on the sofa was undeniably the same one I had seen at the crucifixion crime scene. And now, for some reason I couldn't comprehend, she was just standing there, looking at me, smiling. Oh fuck. She'd finally come to kill me. It had to be because of the detectives I'd talked to. She'd seen me do it with her clairvoyance. After that, she'd go on to infiltrate my base without making a sound, take up a position in which she could kill me at any moment, and then revel in it as I cried and screamed in terror. It couldn't be anything else. Don't kill me! I tried to scream, but I was too terrified to make a sound. Tilting her neck to the side, the demon girl unleashed a strange incantation. It had to be some demonic tongue. She was cursing me! In hopes of gaining as much distance as possible from her, I went to hide underneath my desk. Problem was, I was so shaken up that I'd ended up bashing my head into the edge of it, rendering me unable to move as I writhed in pain. She keeps talking as if she knows him. Even now, the demon girl was keeping up her amused smile. But it had to be a trap, built to lull me into a false sense of security. The second I let my guard down, she'd swoop in and end me. Or maybe she already had with that curse she'd placed on me a minute ago. In a few days, my entire body would suddenly start spewing blood everywhere, and I'd die right then and there. I got down on my hands and knees, cradling my head between my arms. Those goddamn detectives had completely fucked me over.
警察に喋ったこと謝るから。
警察？
それに話してもちっとも信じてもらえてなかったし。
It was a lie meant to buy me some time. The older detective had said he'd guarantee my safety. If he was doing his job properly, he had to have sent at least one officer over to my place. Upon thinking that, I suddenly realized I'd given the old man my phone number, but I hadn't given him my address. That is a pose. Suddenly, the demon girl assumed a pose resembling a salute. And what was just as, if not more strange, was what she'd said. It was almost like a sound effect. Was it another demonic curse? What? Was she just trying to play dumb? Or was this her roundabout way of threatening me, and in actuality she was saying, forget the truth, act as if nothing ever happened? What the hell was she thinking? Hadn't she come here to kill me? The demon girl got up from the couch and reached her hand out to me. Her expression was so gentle, and I was seeing her up close. She was actually pretty cute. Damn it, I was letting her get to me. Stop acting like a goddamn idiot. Was I seriously calling a demon pretty cute? She was a murderer. She'd used Yua and Shogun to trap me, and now she'd come to finish me off herself. Don't trust her. I'd already learned my lesson back with Yua. I'd never make the same mistake again. I refused to take her hand. Don't be deceived by this demon girl's smile. She was a demon trying to tempt me. If I gave in to that temptation, I'd die. Trust no one. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything anyone says.
見たんだ。お前が人を殺してるとこ。
あのさ、タク。それ、かなりひどいこと言ってるって気づいてる？
Thought that was gonna be an ecto moment.
まさか殺人犯呼ばわりされるなんてね。あはは。
Ha ha ha. What was she gonna do with me?
ニュージェネの
Just like with the guy in the fourth case, was she gonna...
殺すんでしょ。それとも岩とか将軍とかがいる場所に連れてって。
岩将軍誰それ。
Maybe the three of them had decided to work together. That way, I wouldn't be able to fight back when they beat me to death.
そんなの嫌だ。助けて。
じゃあね、私を殺人犯扱いしなければ助けてあげる。
So that was her true goal.
そんなビビらないでよ。いちいち私がへこむようなリアクションしてくれるよね。
お願いだ。もう二度と誰にも喋らないから。だから見逃して。
もしもーし、タク、ちょっと落ち着こう。
This bitch acting like we were close or something. Calling me talk and shit. Wait, actually, how did she know my name? She'd already known it back when we first met at the crucifixion crime scene. How? How did she know it? And also, how had she known where my base was?
当然でしょ。あなたの名前を知ってるのは。
Did she just read his mind? Had she just read my mind? I knew she was clairvoyant. She knew my name, my address, all because she'd used her powers on me.
タクって結構独り言多いよね。
Oop.
前から思ってたことだけど。
Always. How long was she talking? Wait, had I been talking to myself out loud just now? I hadn't been aware of it at all. Was that really true? Had I really been talking to myself out loud? Or was it possible that she was just lying to me and in actuality she'd read my mind?
タクの名前を知らないわけないよ。私、物覚えはそんなに良くない方だけど。友達の名前くらい覚えるよ。
For friends?
それともタク、私のことバカにしてる？そりゃ私、テストの点数はそんなに良くないけど。面と向かってそういうこと言われると傷ついちゃうな。
Someone here crazy? But who was it? Me? Her?
もしかして転校生。
そういえば近いうちに転校生が来るらしいよ。スカチン先生が言ってた。
There were two different conversations going on here. My terror from earlier, combined with the anxiety of having no idea when I'd get killed, was starting to fade. Rushing in to replace it was a completely new kind of dread, slithering in to slowly erode my mind.
もしもし、その顔はまさかまだ信じてくれてない？
誰だ？
Who are they? A murderer, a demon girl, that was who.
うわ、タクこそクラスメートの顔を覚えてないんだ。ひどー。
Did she say classmate? So we weren't just friends, but classmates too?
でもまあしょうがないか。タクはあんまり学校来ないもんね。だからって私の存在丸ごとなかったことにするのはどうかと思う。私の名前本当に忘れちゃった？そんなことないよね。知ってるでしょ？あなたは知ってるはず。
Me.
リ りみ。
そう正解。賞金50円プレゼント。
How did he know?
私崎畑リミです。
Sakihata Rimi.
なんだ、やっぱり覚えててくれたんだね。よかったよかった。
How? Was it true? Was the demon girl's name really Rimi? Why had that name suddenly popped into my head just now? Why did I know this girl's name? Maybe she really was my classmate and friend and I'd just forgotten? No, there was no way. I'd never even heard the name Sakihata Rimi. It had to be a fake name. It had to be that when I'd said Rimi, she just decided that was her name right then and there. It was like one of those spam emails from a Nigerian prince that used your personal info. Besides, other than Yua, I'd never met a 3D girl who talked to me like we were this close in my life. And Yua was the demon girl's underling. Wait, that was it. What the girl calling herself Sakihata was doing right now was exactly the same as what Yua had done. This temptress knew that I wasn't used to interacting with 3D girls, so she was attempting to lead me into a trap by behaving all friendly and trying to seduce me. It was the exact same strategy. And the thing is, while I barely remembered my classmates' faces at all, and I didn't plan to either, I can say with absolute certainty that I'd never seen this girl's face in the same classroom as me before. Probably. I couldn't completely rule it out. After all, whenever I was at school, I was usually glued to my desk until the final bell, pretending to sleep, having delusions, staring at my desk, or feigning reading my textbooks. I didn't do anything else. I had next to no memory of my classmates' names and faces, so I didn't even try to remember any. Which was it? Was she telling me the truth, or was it all a lie? No, it didn't matter whether or not we were classmates, because the one thing I knew for sure, the one hard, indisputable fact, was that she had committed murder.
もしかして本気で思い出せないの？さっき頭打ったせいで記憶喪失になっちゃった？
The demon girl reached for my head. I retreated back under the desk to try and avoid her.
たく変だよ。じゃあ大地に聞いてみて。そしたらたくも思い出せるかも。
Daisuke? Daichin? Who the hell was that? Was that person or some sort of secret code? Another demonic incantation?
大地だよ、大地。三角大輔。
Yeah. She knew Misumi-kun's name? Not only that, but she was calling him Daichin? She wouldn't call him that unless they were really close.
ちょっと待ってね。
The demon girl reached for a bag on the sofa. A bag that wasn't mine. Took out a cell phone.
大地はと。よし、オッケー。
After a bit of fiddling with the phone, she held it out to me. When I made no motion to take it, the demon girl forced a smile and quickly grabbed my hand.
ほら、固まってないで。
She forced me to hold the cell phone. What the heck is going on? The demon girl's hand was soft and just a little bit cold. I'd expected it to be a lot colder, almost like ice, but it wasn't nearly that bad. I guess even murderers had blood flowing through their veins. And because her hand was unexpectedly feminine, my heart started to thump. No, don't fall for it. She's a demon. I'll never let her seduce me. I'm not into 3D. Lend me your powers, Seraton.
タク、携帯使ったことないの？電話機は耳に当てるんだよ。
Tilting her head, the demon girl peered at my face from point-blank range. With her hand still grabbing mine, she brought the phone up to my ear. But before she did, I quickly looked at the screen. The registered name Daichin was displayed, and it looked like it was already calling them. With no escape, I pressed the receiver up against my ear. I heard the sound of the phone ringing. Eventually, that sound stopped and was replaced by the voice of Misumi-kun. They didn't give their name. It sounded like they were downtown or something, as I could hear a bunch of noise coming through the receiver. Rimi. Sakihata Rimi. Misumi-kun knew her? Well, it wasn't like that was anything unusual. Misumi-kun was a natural-born playboy, after all. It wouldn't be surprising if he'd gone out with the demon girl in the past, or even if they were in a super intimate relationship now. That didn't matter to me, though. What I needed to know was whether the demon girl was my classmate or not.
タク、大地出た？
The demon girl once again peered at my face. Shit, she was way too close. I turned my back to her and spoke into the receiver.
僕、西条。
Why had he responded so nonchalantly? Him acting so natural made it sound like me being with the demon girl was an everyday occurrence or something. What the heck is going on? Was the person on the other end really Misumi-kun? For example, there was the possibility that the demon girl had made a phone call to someone who only sounded like Misumi-kun. Maybe this person who sounded like Misumi-kun was just another underling of hers, and he was only pretending to be Misumi-kun in order to trick me. I was starting to doubt anything and everything. I didn't know what was true and what was a lie. Hold on. What the hell kind of trap was the demon girl trying to make me fall into anyway? Why bother with a trap this elaborate? In a situation like this, wouldn't it be easier and quicker for her to just go ahead and kill me already? Or was there some kind of reason behind it? Some kind of prerequisite saying she had to trick me, even if it meant taking it this slow? Maybe it was some kind of hidden camera type thing spearheaded by Misumi-kun. The girl wasn't actually my classmate, but Misumi-kun's girlfriend, and he had sent her here in order to screw with me. This fucking if. If that were the case, how the hell would I explain everything that had happened at the crucifixion crime scene? His tone of voice sounded exactly like Misumi-kun's. The more I heard it, the more convinced I was that the person on the other end had to be him. Should I start talking? I sensed a gaze on my back. The girl was staring at me. The chills on the back of my neck still hadn't gone away. What kind of expression was the demon girl making? I wanted to turn around and see for myself, but I was too scared.
クラス
ああ、うちのクラスがどうした？
いる
何が？
女子咲畑って名前の。
Despite steadily becoming more and more incoherent, I somehow managed to explain myself. Suddenly, Misumi-kun stopped responding. Silence. However, I could still hear the noise of the city around him, so the call hadn't disconnected or anything. Why wasn't he talking? The next thing I heard was an extremely exaggerated sigh.
お前さ、ゲーム脳じゃねえの？
Gamer brain. A theory that claims that people who play video games experience a chronic decline in emotional restraint and judgment due to a condition similar to dementia. The theory stemmed from recorded measurements showing that the brains of those who play video games emit extremely low levels of beta waves compared to that of normal humans. It was widely publicized by the mass media and became a social issue for a period of time, but there were too many ambiguities present in the study, such as its methodology used to measure brainwaves, leaving some doubt to its credibility. Where'd that come from? Not only was it completely out of left field, but he brought up that bullshit condition that had been coined despite having no scientific backing whatsoever.
それってリミのことだろ？リミの携帯でかけてきてるくせに何バカなこと言ってんだお前。わかった。お前もしかしてリミに何か指図されてんだろ？いたずらか？ドッキリか？じゃあリミに伝えといてくれ。お前の低レベルのドッキリに引っかかる。俺はバカじゃねえってな。
本当？
何が？
本当にクラスメイト。
お前な、たまにしか学校来ねえから忘れちまったか。俺はともかく、お前は1年の時から同じクラスだろ。
Oh.
この前だって3人で一緒に映画見に行ったじゃねえか。
What the heck is going on? I couldn't comprehend what the person that sounded like Misumi-kun was saying. He'd said that the demon girl and I had been in the same class since first year, and that the three of us had seen a movie together pretty recently. Pretty recently? But when exactly?
俺がお前とダチになったのだって、最初はリミに付き合わされたのがきっかけだったしな。
Huh. Takumi had no idea why Misumi-kun... he said the honorific so much I nearly said. He had no idea why Misumi was constantly hanging out with him. And Misumi is saying here that it's because of Rimi.
俺と同じで、リミも物好きだからよ。ニートのお前を気にかけてやってるのは、世界広しといえど、俺とリミぐらいだぜ。あ、それはいいですか。
The words I heard on the other end of the call, not a single one of them felt real to me. I had absolutely no memory of any of it. I couldn't acknowledge that any of that had happened in the past. I just couldn't. It was all some story that the person who sounded like Misumi-kun had made up. It couldn't be my past. The past could only be established as truth if a person remembered it. So, if I didn't remember it, it wasn't true.
っていうか、リミってマジで女っ気ないよな。これはあいつには言うなよ。
君は誰だ？
おいおい、マジでおかしくなったか。俺のことまで忘れたわけか。ゲームやりすぎ。
Unable to take it anymore, I hung up the phone. My breathing had grown extremely heavy without me noticing. The sweat that had been beading on my forehead showed no signs of stopping. In fact, it was increasing. Long trails of sweat trickled down my entire body, starting from my face and ending at my feet.
タク、汗びっしょりだよ。
The demon girl, looking worried about me, calmly offered me a handkerchief. A cute, patternless vermilion handkerchief. There was a faint floral scent to it. Instead of taking it, I attempted to somehow maintain my composure and organize my thoughts about everything that was happening. But in the end, it didn't go too well. I was doubting anything and everything, causing all my thoughts to rapidly churn together into a chaotic whirlpool. Sighing in minor disappointment, the demon girl put away her handkerchief, and then, with a triumphant look on her face, she asked me a question.
で、大臣はなんて？
She was acting like she already knew the answer. I couldn't afford to answer her. What was she? An ordinary classmate of mine? Or a monster? I had no idea. Maybe I was the crazy one. Taking the chat with Shogun into consideration, I couldn't rule out the possibility that someone other than myself was controlling my body. Or maybe all my memories of the demon girl, if the girl named Sakihata Arimi, had somehow gotten knocked right out of me due to some freak accident or something. At this point, I didn't know anything about myself for sure. Did I have amnesia? Did I sleepwalk? Or could it be something else entirely different?
大丈夫？体、辛いならソファーで横になる？
The demon girl spoke to me kindly. Don't let your guard down. Anyone who acts nice to an otaku freak like me must have some kind of ulterior motive. I shook my head, putting my strong will to resist against the demon girl on full display. Then, using that same strength, I raised my head. Sweat got into my eyes, blurring my vision. The demon girl's face was a lot closer than I expected it to be. What color eyes were those?
なんで
何何？
ここにいる？
なんでってタクに会いに来たんだよ。もしかして勝手に部屋に入ったこと怒ってる？でもそれはタクがちっとも返事してくれないから悪いんだよ。結構長い時間ノックしてたんだから。
I thrusted the cell phone she'd given me back at her. As I watched the demon girl timidly take it back, I asked her once again.
なんで
今度は何？
ここにいる？
What was her reason for coming here? If she'd come to kill me, she would have done it a long time ago. So why wasn't she doing anything?
ああ、ここに来た理由？ね。
The demon girl reached into her bag and pulled out a single sheet of paper.
はい。進路希望のプリント持ってきてあげたの。
I found myself taking it from her without really thinking. She wasn't lying. The piece of paper did have post-graduation's aspirations written on it, along with 3 blank spaces to write your answers in. Was that it? Was that really all she'd come for?
帰ってよ。
I don't want anything to do with her. I don't want anything to do with any 3D girls. This is a trap. Don't listen to her. This isn't reality. This is a game, one filled with bugs. There are way too many contradictions. It doesn't hold together as a proper story.
僕に関わらないでよ。
If you don't intend to kill me, then just leave me alone. I am me. Some me that isn't my friend. Some me that isn't me may be friends with Sakihata Rimi, but that has nothing to do with the current me. Cradling my head, I closed myself off completely. I kept trembling and trembling, envisioning that the girl known as Sakihata Rimi wasn't there anymore. Not long after, I heard the sound of the door opening, telling me that the demon girl had left. What in the hell had happened there? In the midst of a pitch-black room, the pale light of a PC monitor cut through the darkness. Pictured on the screen was a Sarah screensaver from Bloodtoon the Animation. While there had been a girl by the name of Sakihata... Oh, yeah, okay. While there had been a girl by the name of Sakihata Rimi present in the container half a day prior, the only figure that remained was the container's owner, Nishijo Takumi. It was already 5 in the morning. In Takumi's daily life, he would play online games until dawn, and then collapse onto the sofa once he could not keep his eyes open any longer. Even now, Takumi was asleep on the couch, twisted in a seemingly uncomfortable position. He never used his bed for sleep. He did indeed have a proper bed, but it was already occupied by manga, CDs, and other random piled-up media. He could never be bothered to tidy it up, so his bed had effectively been repurposed into his storeroom. Ever since then, he had utilized his 2-person sofa as his one and only place to sleep. A pained moan escaped from Takumi's lips. Perhaps he was having a nightmare. His entire body was perspiring, and his closed eyelids twitched and trembled. His expression was warped in agony, and he was tossing and turning so frequently he came very close to falling off the couch. Is this some outside perspective of that delusion we just watched? Right before he did, however, his eyes suddenly and inexplicably shot open as he faced the ceiling. They were bloodshot, and his eyeballs were faintly convulsing. Still in that state, without blinking even a single time, he rose from the sofa. He slowly staggered toward the PC. Without sitting down, he moved the mouse as he stood before the desk. The screensaver disappeared, and his desktop showed itself. The pale light of the monitor shone on Takumi's face, illuminating his horrifyingly vacant expression. His body swayed back and forth, and his mouth hung slightly ajar. Drool seeped down his chin. His current state was a textbook example of sleepwalking. The delirious boy launched the web browser, then opened @channel. His movement itself was languid and slow, but he showed no hesitation in selecting a thread from the board related to New Gen. The board listed a total of around 60 threads. Takumi slowly opened each of them, one by one. And then, with his eyes remaining glued to the monitor, he began to type. He repeated this action for each and every thread. His posts were not particularly long, only housing a few characters each, but they all composed of the exact same sentence. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh, Shogun! I went to the hospital first thing next morning. The hand confirmed it the last time I'd come here, but today they would definitely tell me I was normal. Dr. Takashino would remember me. I'd tell him, it's me, Nishijo. I was your patient until around 4 years ago, and then he'd tell me everything I needed to hear. I wasn't the crazy one. It was the demon girl and Misumi-kun. They were the crazy ones. That was definitely what he was going to say. This hospital opened at 8 in the morning, which was a little bit earlier than regular hospitals. That was the reason why I'd shown up right when it opened, and yet the seats in the lobby were already filled with countless middle-aged people or older. What the hell? Why? The hospital just opened, so why were there so many people here? Don't you bastards know head starts are unfair? Come on, time like you're supposed to, assholes. As I continued to insult them inside my head, I had no choice but to wait. About an hour passed before I really started to regret not having made an appointment. Right after I started thinking that, they called my name, and I was immediately relieved to know that I wouldn't have to wait as long as last week. Except the one waiting for me in the examination room wasn't Dr. Takashina, but some white-haired old man that I had never seen before.
高階先生は
Noticing my confusion, the nurse standing behind him, I think her name was Hazuki-san, gave an apologetic look.
高階先生はもういません。
Was he one of the victims? Was he the Onceler? He... what?
もういないというか、過労がたたって先週末に倒れてしまわれてね。今週はそれでずっと休みだよ。
Oh. Okay. No Onceler then. What? This couldn't be happening. My one and only ally. Wait, had he really collapsed from fatigue?
陰謀だ。悪魔女の陰謀だ。
西条さん
She had to have poisoned his food, or sent him a death threat to scare him into submission, or done some other horrible act to psychologically break him. This had to be the work of the demon girl. She was trying to isolate me from my allies so I'd be defenseless against her assault. There was no way in hell I was going to let anyone other than Dr. Takashina examine me. So instead of getting a checkup, I ran away from the hospital. Leaning on the fence at the edge of the roof, I blankly stared up at the sky. The skies of Shibuya were dim and lifeless. You'd have to be crazy to call them clear.
病院にはもう行かない方がいい。
The demon girl's net was tightening around me. Maybe I already had nowhere to run. Maybe the detectives I'd met yesterday were imposters. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding, ding. Doo, doo. Maybe in reality, they'd been the demon girl's underlings all along, and they'd just been testing me. That had to be it. The timing had been just way too perfect. The demon girl had broken into my room right after I talked to them, for fuck's sake. She was a demon, after all. She wasn't human. Controlling and manipulating the human mind would be child's play for her. I had no evidence of that, though. But at the same time, I had no evidence proving she wasn't a demon. Which meant the only way to stay alive was to just assume the worst-case scenario. Did I really have nobody on my side? I felt like everyone was against me. No matter where I looked, no matter who it was, all I saw was yet another one of the demon girl's underlings.
助けて。誰か助けてよ。
Why didn't I have even a single ally? Why wouldn't anyone come to save me? Why did only I have to suffer so much? I felt more helpless than ever. I just wanted something to support me. Someone who would protect me. Something that would protect me. I didn't care who or what it was, just someone, something. Please grant me salvation.
見つけて早く剣をそうすれば君は救われるわ
Suddenly, I remembered those words.
剣
If this was a game, I'd be the protagonist. You don't say! And there would be a cliche story moment where I'd obtained the legendary sword and triumph over evil. At this point, I'd heard the word sword from 2 different 3D girls recently, in an extremely close proximity at that. There still remained the possibility that Fess was on my side. Girl B, however, I think her name was Senna, had a pretty high chance of being one of the demon girl's underlings, judging by her attitude. A sword.
剣だ。剣を手に入れるんだ。そうすれば。
I started talking to myself like I'd lost my mind. I was grasping at straws at this point. If I just get my hands on a sword, I might be free from this nightmare. I couldn't help but hope for that. It wasn't that I believed what Fess had said about it granting me salvation. I just had nothing else to cling to. At the very least, I should do some research. I promptly tried searching for it online. I started off by checking to see if the swords Fess and Senna were carrying appeared in any anime, but I couldn't find anything, at least from the seasonals. I'd expected as much. I always checked out the newest anime, after all. Considering there were upwards of 30 to 40 of them in one season, it'd really pile up on me if I tried to watch them all. So I just watched the first couple episodes and figured out which ones to keep following from there. Naturally, since MewTube existed, I had no trouble completing my lineup from channels such as BS and CS. So there was no way I'd overlooked any anime. Those swords weren't in any of the shows I'd checked out. The swords both had extremely distinctive shapes, so if they'd showed up, I definitely would have remembered them. Although if someone other than myself had been controlling me when I saw it, then there was nothing I could do about it. Next, I tried searching for the words for the swords themselves, rather than anime they might have appeared in.
くそ、ほとんどがゲームの攻略サイトじゃんか。
Terms I knew well, such as ESO's Shangri-La Edge, kept popping up. I was making no progress. For fuck's sake, I was supposed to be able to find it quickly. I had a feeling that Senna had used a more concrete name for it. But what had it been? Remember, the nightmare won't end unless you remember.
答えろ。見えるんだな。ディソードが。
ディソード。
That was it. She'd calling it a D-sword. I quickly typed it in and ran a search. D-sword, Fantasy Wiki, Amnesia B. Thus, swords of light known as D-swords were unleashed upon the world. These swords are fictional swords created in medieval Europe by the legendary Gladio, the wicked-hearted king. The swords were created to feed off the negative emotions of man, and as such, it is said that the Black Knights who fought with these swords eventually had their hearts eaten away by them. Unlike other holy cursed swords, these swords are characterized by their unique invisibility. Bought a D-sword, the blog of a free soul with too much free time. Free soul, free time. I bought a sword today. It's called a D-sword, I think. Seriously, I can't get enough of all these shady stuff I've been picking up. Town Vanguard is an oasis for my soul, man. The only places in the entire Tokyo metropolitan area that have got that shady vibe TV has are in Akiba. I'm still wondering, though, who the hell named the thing a D-sword, lol? This is a pretty huge toy, and it's got this real oomph to it. I got hits. Only 2 of them, though. Even so, I was already starting to think one of those 2 links of my road to salvation. Holding back my excitement, I clicked on the top one first. 404 not found. Shit, the page was down. Damn it, what the hell? Okay, calm down. Go back and look at the cache. Wiki pedophilia. D-sword. Delusion ideal sword. Thus, swords of light. Yeah. The Kamaitachi phenomenon. An extremely rare phenomenon in which the body is suddenly marked with a wound, as if it had been cut by a sharp blade. Kamaitachi are wind yokai from the Koshinetsu region of Japan. They have sharp sickle-like claws on both hands, which local legend states are used to cut their victims, causing the phenomenon described above. The true cause behind why this phenomenon occurs has not yet been ascertained. The page had an illustration on it. Must have been a recreation based on how the sword was described in various books.
元ネタは伝承か。
Ancient legends often contain settings that transcend theories of all creation, and as such, the sword was made. Unlike other holy cursed swords, D-swords are characterized by their unique invisibility. It is said that the moment one of the seemingly unarmed warriors swung their arms, the sharp slice caused their opponent's arm to be severed up from their body and fall to the ground before they could even feel the pain, much like the Kamaitachi phenomenon. Ancient legends often contain settings that transcend theories of all creation, and as such, this sword has made appearances in several pseudographa, books, and other various mediums. D-swords and the Kamaitachi phenomenon are considered to be practically synonymous. Kamaitachi, meanwhile, are imaginary specters that are sometimes depicted as weasels with sharp sickles for arms. But this interpretation can only be attributed to a faithful recreation of people's imaginations over many years. If one were to describe the beings in words, Kamaitachi would be the spirits of the wind, entities with a very weak presence in reality. However, the truth of the phenomenon has already been verified by modern science. The slices are said to be caused by a naturally occurring phenomenon in places where the air is incredibly dry, and the vacuum-like conditions present in such places cause cuts to appear on the skin. Related entry, the Gladiol
でも
Saga.
セナって女
A
が
series
持っ
of
てたの
high
に比べるとこっちは随分地味だな。
A series of high fantasy novels based on the Eastern European myth of Gladiol, the wicked-hearted king. Told over the course of 23 volumes, it depicts the battle between the 7 Black Knights and Gladiol. It was written by R.C.O. Siegler from 1929 to 1951. The series has been translated into several languages, but it never gained widespread appeal due to its rather esoteric writing style. Why did it have to be such a niche sword to begin with? I mean, why couldn't it have been a sword like Excalibur or Kusanagi? You know, swords that were actually a big deal. You know, this wasn't the time to piss and moan. Niche or mainstream, I didn't care as long as it could save me. I decided to research it a bit more. Continuing, I clicked the second link. The words, "I bought a D-sword," caught my eye specifically. Were D-swords something you could buy? The blog owner seemed to be male, so I could deduce that it couldn't be the demon girl or Senna. I mean, his profile's right there, so yeah. A diary where I screw around and talk about my daily life of jerking off and downloading soda and downing soda. Downloading soda. The blog owner seemed to be male, so I could deduce. Yeah. All they've really got is computers or porn stuff or stuff like that. Can't say the same for TV, though. There used to be all sorts of shady shops in Shibuya. Really shows my age. But they've been washed away along with the flow of time. Man, those were the days, lol. What's amazing to me, though, is that if you didn't know any better, TV totally looks like a store for noobs, LMAO. February 10th, 2007, or perhaps October 2nd, 2007. I don't frickin' know. And the energy shown in the writing was way too different from Shogun's. Was he a completely unrelated third party? Or could he have deliberately changed his writing style? WTF. WTF. Net slang, short for what the fuck. An expletive used to represent any number of emotions, such as anger, surprise, confusion, etc. A popular alternative is the shortened TF. Example, TF is going on. I knew that no answer would come to me no matter how much I thought about it, so I gave up and stopped looking at the blog. More importantly, it seemed like the store he'd mentioned, Town Vanguard, was located in Shibuya. Well, that's enough yearning for the good old days. I'm still wondering, though, who the hell named the thing a D-sword, lol? Oh. Oh, I guess that's the part I saw. I skipped something that was already, well, let me see if I can. Nope, guess not. I was still wondering, though. Yeah, okay. Oh, it's this pretty huge toy, and it's got this real oomph to it, yeah. But even then, I'll bet money on the fact that the only reason it's at the store at all is because of the clerk Yo-chan's interests. I mean, they recently put up a fantasy weapons section in one of the corners of the store, so, lol. There was a bunch of stuff, like a lightsaber and a light shuriken. But they were obviously fake. It was pretty disappointing, to be honest. I had the feeling that it was too good to be true, but I also had the feeling that it was predestined, too. Looking at it from another angle, Maybe the exact reason I'd run into a girl holding a D sword in the middle of Shibuya twice was because the store was located there. Wait, wasn't underground stuff like this supposed to be secretly popular among a few minority groups in Shibuya? Pretty sure it was. Anyway, I went ahead and ran a search for a town vanguard. I didn't seem to have an official site, but I did find a preview image of it on an online map. If they didn't have an official site, that probably meant they didn't take online orders. I tried searching for them as a seller on taboo auctions, but I didn't find any. Which meant that I would have to go to the store in person. I really didn't want to go outside, but
剣は手に入れなくちゃ。手に入れないとダメなんだ。
I had now come to think of the sword as my sole, only means of opposing the demon girl. I didn't have any idea what I would do after I got it, though. I certainly wasn't brave enough to kill her with it, not even close. Even so, I had hoped that if I got my hands on a sword, I would be released somewhat from the terror that was tormenting me. The D-sword would be my protective charm, something I could depend on. There was something strangely alluring about that sword. Okay, I think this is a decent place to cut things for now. That left me with so many questions. So many. Why haven't we seen Rimi before? How does she know Nismi and Takumi? What? Yeah, you get the gist. But, I will, be back tomorrow to see if we can get Takumi the sword he so desperately needs. So, yeah, have a good one, everyone.